Hello, welcome back to Madrona's Pulse Teachings. I am Iris, and we are going to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So I am looking at October 21st through to October 27th. So, what do we have going on this week? Well, we start the week off with our sun coming into its square with Pluto. So, the sun is going to square Pluto. And then we're building this week into Mars coming into its opposition with Pluto, which is going to be exact next week on the Scorpio new moon on November 1st. And there's some other cosmic conversations going on, but this is energy that's coming straight out of the full moon that we had on October 17th, where we had that grand cross, and it was a bit of a lot of energy for a lot of folks. And so just knowing that that dynamic energy of the full moon is really extending us through this week, and we are kind of being carried into that new moon on the 1st, that's the Scorpio new moon, with a big conversation being Mars opposite Pluto. And there's a lot of nuances to how this energy is building. So that's what I'd like to look at this week. So, of course, it is significant that we start the week off with our Libra sun coming to that final degree of Libra, squaring Pluto, and then on the 22nd, it's going to enter Scorpio, and we say happy solar return to our Scorpio suns out there. And of course, when it's still at those beginning degrees of Scorpio, it's still squaring Pluto. And yet, this is a Pluto who's direct, who's finishing its journey through Capricorn, but it is transformative energy, okay? And it is potentially dynamic, breakdown, breakthrough, hopefully in the small sense of breakdown, breakthrough. But some of that could be coming up. It could absolutely be getting triggered in one-on-one dynamics. This is a Libra sun at the final degree. Now, it's also incredible opportunity for transformation. We've been on such one-on-one journeys. We've been having so much shedding going on. And so, especially for those of us that, I know it's you, we've been showing up and we've been meeting the shedding, and we've been meeting the tensions, and we've been sitting and witnessing. The sun square Pluto can be really supportive energy that just helps us carry us through and transform. Okay. So there's no kind of, oh, this is Pluto, it's necessarily going to be terrible. No, we're witnessing and we're inviting the transformation, and also seeing the opportunity for transformation. If we catch ourselves getting charged, how can we kind of say, okay, I'd like to show up a little differently. Maybe I need to step back, or maybe I'm going to use my words in a different way. But again, it's a Libra sun at the 29th degree, which is also a Libra that has the ability to have all the wisdom of Libra, that has the ability to really show up caring for oneself and the other, going back and forth, playing that kind of gentle diplomat that absolutely doesn't silence the self, but holds compassion for both sides present and creates that new third space in the actual relationship. And that could be happening with this transformative, evolutionary kind of pull forward. Okay. And as that's happening, we do start the week off also with Mars square Juno, and I think that's significant because Juno was conjunct our sun during the full moon, and Juno has been doing all sorts of things with other planets in Libra, and so we have that Mars in Cancer at 25 degrees square Juno, who's there wanting us to bring compassion to our one-on-one commitments. Okay, so definitely if you have a partner, really committed friendships, those one-on-one dynamics where we really show up, you know, that there's a lot of energy there. This is going on as that sun is squaring Pluto, so really inviting us, that Mars, to bring that act of compassion, to show up with it. And therefore this whole week and all next week, we are walking around with active thoughts, mindful thoughts of self-care and nurture, because that Mars is in Cancer and it is building. It's going to square that Juno, but it's building towards that opposition with Pluto, which is ultimately inviting us into being radical and transformative in self-care. And for those of us that are doing that work and showing up and bringing that compassion to ourselves and others, it's an evolutionary jump. For those that are dissociating and projecting, that's when Mars opposite Pluto can turn not so gentle, can turn a bit combative, right? So really just in our personal inquiry work, just being with and really working with that kind of Cancerian drive to show up with care. And this is important as well, because a really important layer of that Mars that's building towards that opposition with Pluto that so much focus has been on in the astro realms on social media is that Mars not just talking to Pluto. Mars is sextile Uranus, and then it's trine Neptune, and then it's opposite Pluto. And the sextile to Uranus and the trine to Neptune, that is this week. Okay? So it's going to be exactly sextile Uranus on the 24th. And then it's going to be building towards that trine with Neptune as we come into the end of this week. And then next week, it will move on from the trine with Neptune into the opposition with Pluto. But that gives us so much more information about this Mars, right? There's that supportive sextile to Uranus in Taurus. So Mars relearning about active care, relearning about active nourishment, awakening with Uranus, radical embodiment, bringing that nourishment into radical embodiment, also leaning into relationship with the earth to actually support and often model what radical nourishment might look like. Then we're building this week after the 24th into the trine with Neptune in Pisces and Mars in Cancer. So here we have that Neptune bringing in that spiritual quality. That's an opportunity to support a new embodiment of water, of flow, of emotions. That, as we move towards the end of the week, really coming into those practices, whether it's meditation, having baths, spending time near water, but really inviting the water element to soothe. All week. We're working with Mars and Cancer, brewing it all week. But really, as we move towards the end of the week, really inviting that Neptune to be something that is supporting and helping you feel how water and that flow can actually also, of course, take us into whether it's kind of journeying, sound healing, any of that more kind of creative, artistic flow, really nurturing that. That's going to put us in a lovely position to then come in to that new moon on November 1st. So it's going to have the opposition with Pluto, where then after Mars has had, its conversation with Uranus and Neptune, then it's coming into the opposition and it's ready to transform. It's been primed. We've dipped into those kind of spiritual waters. We're learning to re-nurture. And then we have that transformative push. And then Mars moves into Leo and we come into that kind of more active, creative self. And then Mars will go retrograde in Leo and we will reassess that active drive in Cancer with Mars through 2025. And we also have a lovely, lovely trine, an Earth trine going on, which we can really lean into. So we're going to have Vesta, and she is in Virgo, and she's going to be opposite Neptune, meaning that she's going to trine Pluto and Uranus. Okay, so more outer planet. Here we have a trine. And it's Vesta in Virgo. Earth energy. Vesta is the goddess of the sacred earth. She is the sacred fires. She is sacred sexuality. She is extremely healing. She is extremely healing for ourselves in our own journeys. I love to work with her for survivors of sexual violence and sexual trauma because she is literally sacred sexuality that is between us and the goddess. It is the stoking of the inner fires. It is the healing through the stoking of the inner fires. In Virgo, Vesta is deeply committed to being of service to ourself, and how being of service to ourself is simultaneously service to the goddess and vice versa. There is no separation between us and the goddess and our inner vitality with Vesta and Virgo. And so really calling upon that energy of Vesta, you can journal with her, you can meditate with her, you can just invite her for a cup of tea. But as she's there, and this is kind of really active from the 21st to the 26th, so really all week. And it begins first with her, first she's going to be in her exact trine with Uranus, then she's going to be opposite Neptune, and then she's going to move into her exact trine with Pluto. But we have that cosmic conversation of all three outer planets with her. And so the trine holds, and then she's of course moving in that opposition because Neptune is in Pisces. And so Vesta in Virgo talking to Neptune in Pisces is really offering this incredible spiritual energy to support us, to heal us. And there, Neptune is a complicated energy. I do not work with Neptune as illusion in my practice archetypally. I work with Neptune as all that is beyond the day-to-day. Okay. And so, of course, when we have strong Neptune transits or strong Neptune energy and we need to show up and be in this kind of linear timeline and we have to check off a box at this hour and that hour, and Neptune's like, what? No, that's not how it works. We're in a different realm. So there is absolutely confusion as we're moving between realms, but this type of energy is supporting our inner world. So cultivating, this is where, okay, if I'm feeling tired, I don't go out when I don't need to, and I take care and I sit at home and I do whatever feels nourishing. This is about needing to cultivate that energy to nourish the self, because then we're creating the space and we can access that opposition with Neptune in a way that we have a container, we have a space to hold us, while Vesta is also wanting to bring in this radical healing authentic energy from Uranus and awakening energy from Uranus and Taurus, and of course transformative energy in Pluto and Capricorn, right? But if we don't do that, if we feel that we're exhausted but we push ourselves to go out, then that's when we get burned out, and then that's when the confusion starts, because really we need to create the rest for the body and the mind in order to be supported by that trine. So that's where we're co-creating, okay? And that, again, is kind of supporting us as we move through this week where, yes, we start out with Sun square Pluto, and yes, we are building into that Mars opposition with Pluto, but Mars is also talking to Neptune, and it's also talking to Uranus. And so that outer planet conversation is big this week, and it can be healing. It can offer us insights. It can offer us those, paying attention to the synchronicities, paying attention to those moments in which it feels from the inside out like things are aligned, and we might not be able to explain it, but we can trust. And that reminds me to one other piece I wanted to mention, which is that we're also starting the week out with Mercury trine Saturn. Okay. And so this is Mercury in Scorpio trining Saturn, who is in Pisces. And so this offers some flowing again in those waters, feeling understanding. It's deep intuition, this Mercury trine Saturn that we start the week off with. So we might not understand how Pluto is working with us with the square the sun. We might feel a bit of pressure. We might feel the build of Pluto opposite Mars. We're certainly going to be seeing it when we look at the news, when we just listen to people on the subway or wherever we are. We're going to be witnessing kind of that tension probably. But within ourselves, we can really practice listening to intuition, listening to the body. That trine between Mercury and Saturn is quite lovely for listening to the intuition. And then we have Neptune speaking with Mars and also with Vesta this week. So cultivating those practices that help you access your intuition is going to support us as we move through. And we are heading into November. We're heading into Pluto into Aquarius. It is happening. 2025 is coming so quickly. So that's the update for the week. I am sending lots of blessings, and I will see you when I see you. Be well. Lots of love.